I was reminded this weekend of my personal tendency to overthink things, overwork things, trying to make them way harder than they look. And I suspect that you might do the same thing too. So the concept of low-hanging fruit, there's an apple tree on the walk that I take that's on the public HOA-owned property. And in the fall time, it's got these beautiful apples on it. And here's what happens. I can walk up and pick one and eat it. Or I can start climbing that tree, bring it over a ladder, roll up a big rock so that I can get higher to get the other ones that are way up there. And you know what I've discovered? The apple that is right there that I can just reach up and pick tastes just as good as the one that's way up there. And it took a whole lot less work. And oftentimes what ends up happening is we tend to ignore the obvious low-hanging fruit and work way too hard to get to the stuff that's way up at the top of the tree. So let's talk about what might be low-hanging fruit for you in your business. So I'm going to show you two concepts and then some specific examples. All right, here we go. First concept, low-hanging fruit. The product that everyone keeps asking you to create. I know that sounds obvious, but if you find yourself in your Facebook group and your emails, in your group coaching sessions and everything, and people keep saying, I wish that somebody would create this, or I wish you would do this. If you start hearing that over and over again, that's a pretty good indication that there's a piece of low-hanging fruit that you ought to just reach up and grab and create that product. Now, oftentimes we don't create it because, hey, that might require work for us to figure out how to do that. And oftentimes there's ways we can do that through joint ventures, through partnerships, through hiring somebody to put together the course for you and you just deliver it, whatever that is. But please don't ignore the fact that someone keeps asking you to give them a product. Okay, here's the next one. The product that everyone wants, but nobody is offering. So I did this a number of years ago. I saw that social media had just come out. So this was just when MySpace was dying and Facebook was starting to go and Twitter was starting to go. And literally had been like a year and a half and nobody had created a product about how to use those things for internet marketing. And I started looking at it and realizing, hey, everybody wants this. Nobody's put it together. I don't know anything about social media. I'm going to go figure out how to do social media so that I can sell that product. And hey, $3.5 million later, I had a product. All right. So let's talk about some things that may be low-hanging fruit in your particular business that may go beyond these two concepts and actually talk about some other low-hanging fruit that you can offer. Here's one, one-on-one coaching. There is a segment of your audience that wants one-on-one coaching. I know you don't want to sell time for dollars, but there are some people who really want it, who are willing to pay you enough that it is worth it for you to sell that time for dollars. So figure out what you would be willing to sell an hour for, and then make an offer to sell that hour for those dollars and see if anyone bites. And right there, you'll have some low-hanging fruit. You'll have a certain group of people who are willing to pay you to get that. And if you're willing to work, go ahead and work. I suspect you're not going to fill up your week with 40 hours of that. You'll fill it up with a few hours of that. And that can be some of your most profitable time. All right, next. Create a deep dive product into the biggest things that are holding them back. So let's say you teach online marketing and they keep saying, I need to figure out how to do Facebook advertising profitably. Okay, you may want to create a deep dive product just into that product to help them to be able to achieve that. Oftentimes, what I've discovered is, here's this transformation you keep telling people they've got that they can get. You've given them everything around that transformation, but there's one piece that they don't have yet that they keep struggling with. And if you could just provide that, now all of a sudden they can get that transformation that they really want. So how could you provide that? And realize it doesn't have to be you. It can be a partnership. It can be hiring somebody to put the course together for you that you simply create. It can be a joint venture. It can be all kinds of things. But if there's a hole in your marketplace that everybody needs to get filled, why not be the person that steps in and fills it? All right. Next, done for you service. There are so many people who they don't want to sell their time for dollars, but if they would just do a done for you service, and it doesn't have to be them, it can be assistants, it can be a staff that they hire, it can be outsourcers, it can be all kinds of things. Doing a done for you service that can give your audience exactly that, fill that hole that they need to achieve the transformation that you're promising them. People are willing to pay for that. How about this one? A low-end introductory product to what it is that you do. Now realize with this product, you can't deliver the same transformation that you deliver for your $1,000 or $2,000 course. It's oftentimes a segment. You're taking one small area and teaching that in depth and maybe charging $197 for it to get people into your world so that you can then sell them the $1,000 or the $2,000 product later on. You have to be careful with this. A lot of people make a mistake and they basically remove all the $1,000 and $2,000 purchases by just doing that low end. But if you do that low end right, it can be amazingly powerful for you. Here's another one. A lot of people wish they could achieve the transformation. They just don't have 8 to 12 weeks to do it. So why not do a deep dive weekend where you're just going to take a weekend and you're going to teach them everything they need to do to get that transformation just in that weekend. And when that weekend's done, the whole program is done. This can be, I've done this probably 6 times, and every time it's been knock it out of the ballpark. People absolutely love it. And I strongly suggest you do it, and it only costs you a weekend or 2 or 3 a year. Okay. Here's another one that isn't obvious. You have your audience that you sell to. Your biggest competitor wishes they could sell to your audience. And your audience, there's only a small percentage of people who will actually buy your product from you. So why are you not offering your biggest competitors' products to your audience and take an affiliate commission on that sale? So a typical online marketer, let's just say you've got a list of 10,000 people. In a given year, 500 people are going to buy from you. That leaves 9,500 people who are dissatisfied, who have not got their transformation delivered. If you could come in and offer your biggest competitor's product and sell another 500 of those, maybe you get half the profit that you would if you sold your own product, but you just increased your bottom line by more than 50% because you have no cost associated with the delivering that product. So many people don't want to sell their competitors' products. I strongly disagree. There is no such thing as a competitor. There are only partners who haven't figured that out yet. I'll say that again slower. There are no such thing as competitors. There are only potential partners who haven't figured it out yet. Maybe you're the one that needs to go to them and propose the partnership. Don't hesitate for a minute to sell your biggest competitor's product to your customer base. All right. Here's the next one. Also affiliate based. The biggest needs that your product doesn't solve. So let's say your product teaches them how to succeed on Instagram. but your product doesn't really deal with some aspect of that, or maybe something that's beside that. Okay, how do you repurpose your Instagram marketing into Facebook? Your product doesn't deal with that. You've got a competitor who has a product that does that. That's a very logical thing for you to sell on an affiliate basis to your audience so that your audience can buy that product too. The cool thing about that is that those people are probably still going to buy your product, plus they're going to buy your competitor's product, further increasing your sales and your profitability. How about this one? Same language, other countries. So right now, you offer your product, let's say, for example, just in the United States. What if you did a launch that was Europe only English language? Or maybe Europe and South America and maybe all the world English language. I probably would start with Europe because my experience shows that doing English language in Europe can be incredibly profitable. And then just do it as a launch where you're only marketing to Europe. An ad-based launch, you're only marketing to Europe. And all your calls are on European time. So they don't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to hear you talk to them. What a concept. All right. So if you were to just expand geographies, same language, you're simply marketing to new geographies to sell your product into those geographies. All of a sudden, you just opened up a low-hanging fruit. Final one for right now, community. There are so many areas where the thing that people really want, once they've learned the techniques, is they want a supportive community to help them get there. You can sell putting that community together. You can sell the curation of access to that community. It's oftentimes a low-hanging fruit that people simply aren't responding to and giving. Okay, so start thinking about this. Start thinking about, how can I stop making it hard? How can I go for simple is better? How can I pick that low-hanging fruit instead of trying to climb the ladder or roll the big rock over to get up to the top of the tree, and just give your customers what they want? Thanks, Barry, for bringing that up. It's so good to actually do what your customers want. All right. Thanks for that comment, everybody. I appreciate you all. So here's my question for you. In the comments, what are the mistakes that you have made where you have allowed the low-hanging fruit to stay on the tree because you've been going after harder fruit to get to? Let me know the mistakes that you've made and what you're going to do to take advantage of this concept of going after the low-hanging fruit. I really look forward to seeing your answers. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.